There we go.
So Team Musicology is a fantastic little group. I'm pretty responsive there to questions and answers as well. And the rest of the community has just started joining in to help me out answering questions to new beginners. So that's been fantastic. And let me just get rid of these windows. Okay, so here is the home screen. So over here on the left, as a teacher, you have your sign out button. Your student has that too. But you as a teacher has this little people icon. This is where all of your student rooms are. And you build your student rooms on the teacher portal, which is the same place that you register. So when you're in a lesson, you simply click on the room. So I'm going to click on this one here. And then it says waiting for students. So it's kind of like a waiting room. On the student side, it says waiting for teacher. Now that will time out after a few minutes. So make sure that your students aren't logging on an hour before the lesson and then just walking away from their computer. It's ideal to set up a code for them that's simple for them to understand depending on their age. I like to use my first two initials and then their two initials. And that seems to be a good combination. Then you can add a number after that if you like. Up here, so if you had closed that little tutorial and you want to see it again, you just press the question mark. So that has a lot of your answers. Then you don't have to wait for a response from me. These are your audio inputs. You don't really have to do anything. Whatever your OS can accept, then Musicology will accept. So you can just plug in and it will all be in here. So I've got everything. My AirPods are in there now. Your audio outputs here, and then your video input. So I have my FaceTime camera. That's because I'm on a Mac, and Musicology is also for Windows too. So it's just I happen to use a Mac computer, and then I have my Pro webcam here as well for my overhead. And then we have, if everybody can mute too, please, that would be super. And then we'll have a little quiet presentation. These are so popular. I know they look really silly and kid-like, but the point of this platform here is to really engage our students, and kids like silly things. So we have a ton of emojis here. They're fully animated. They float across the screen, and we put in seasonal ones. So we'll throw in some Christmas ones too, and then some generic winter ones later in the cold months of January, maybe a palm tree. So yeah, about every 3 months we'll update them. This is probably our most famous emoji. So this was developed, it was drawn out by the developers too. So you can't get that emoji anywhere else. They did it themselves. And it does wonders. Sometimes you have a student come to your lesson and they're just in a bad mood because they don't want to be there, and you just throw them one of these and it seems to change their mind really fast. Then you have your mute microphone, your disable camera. So you notice if I hover over everything, there's these hover icons. It does take about 2 seconds for the first time you hover over them, so be patient. And then these are our toggle video options. So over here is probably our most complicated, and you can't really understand what pop-out remote user video means. We have that there because when we screen share, we want to see our student, so we have to press this button. Unfortunately, we couldn't make that automatic because there's actually a bug in Chrome that is preventing us from doing that, so we have to wait for Chrome to update. But for now, you screen share, and then you press that little button, and your student's video will float all over the screen. This button here will get rid of your local video if you want to hide yourself. I find it really distracting to look at myself most of the time, so I usually hide that. This is our camera switch button. So I have my overhead camera over here. You can hook up as many cameras as you want, whatever your OS will accept, then Musicology will accept, and then this will just toggle through them like camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and so on. It also works with ManyCam and OBS if you are into using that. This button here will enlarge the video. And I can't show you that right now because I'm not connected to a call. But Grace and I will connect in a few minutes, and then I'll show you that one. But basically, it makes your video larger. And you can also move your video around too. This one will switch your mirror. So here's my right hand. I've switched to here.
So, Rebecca, I have an overhead camera onto my piano keyboard, and I don't need to go into the settings and select a different camera or anything. I just need to press one of these buttons. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. You just want to make sure that everything is hooked up before you place the call. So you want to plug it all in, turn your keyboard on, everything before you place the call, and then it'll sense it. But if for some reason you can't find it, then you can always go into here and find your video source as well. We also have these little buttons here: noise suppression, echo cancellation, and auto gain. I recommend just not touching those. Musicology is really built to have as little features as possible, but there are those users that enjoy having more tools to play around with, so that's why we put those buttons in there. The auto gain is more for vocalists who are maybe singing like really powerful opera, and they want to have a little bit more control over their voice. Over here on the left-hand side, we have our toggle tool list. There's a lot of hidden buttons on here. I just recommend going through and pressing them all. You know, pretend like you're one of your young students and just press things. You know, it's not going to explode. And just kind of figure out what things are. Don't be afraid.
Rebecca, can I interrupt for a quick question before I forget?
Sure.
I'm kind of directionally challenged with the view, the screen view that the student has of, say, my overhead keyboard or my keyboard, what I see versus what they see. Can you lend any help with that? Are they seeing exactly what I see and how I see it, or are they seeing the opposite?
Yeah, no, they should see exactly what you see. So I've got my camera here, and then, okay, so my right hand's over here, so I know now that my camera needs to be flipped. So I'm going to flip my camera, and now my right hand's here.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks.
It racks my brain too.
Thank you.
The whole mirroring thing. Now I gotta get back. There we go. Okay, so the spinning rainbow is going, and that makes the whiteboard icon activated. So I'm gonna end the call here. You see the whiteboard icon isn't activated now. That's because the whiteboard is connected to each individual student's room. So all of their files are stored in their individual rooms, and that's why you can't use the whiteboard until you place a call. Okay, so I'm in my whiteboard now, and this is what it looks like. It's a basic whiteboard, right? I actually have this thing here too called graphics tablet. They're really inexpensive, but they're fantastic because you can use a pencil and it just works like your mouse. So you can draw a little bit more finer details there. So that's something, I mean, you don't have to get it, but if you enjoy writing on a tablet, then that's something that you can look into there. It was about $50 Canadian for me. I just looked on Amazon for the most basic one and bought the cheapest one available. You can get really complicated ones that projects the screen of the computer onto it, but it's not necessary. So over here, you can hide this little toolbar. So this is our drawing tools. So now I can undo everything that I drew, or I can redo it. This is your pencil icon. This one is your eraser. This is a slider that will make the pencil or the eraser bigger. So it's very easy to clean up here. And then Let me just get this toolbar out of the way again. Then we have a square selector. This one's really fun. So you can select an image and then move it over and drop it. Some people like to play games with their students, and this is sort of a way you can do that. So you can enlarge your cursor and make, oops, I'm going on the wrong ones. Make dots, right, for game pieces. And then, or just one dot, you can make it as big as you want. And then you can use the selector tool to move your game piece around the board. So what I'm done is I've taken a screenshot and I'm just dragging it over here. Now you can load images in the teacher portal to your students' rooms, and that will go, you can do that ahead of time as well. So I'm just placing it on the screen here. I'm resizing it. The whiteboard is also a smart whiteboard, so it will know if you're connected to an iPad, and it'll switch the iPad's whiteboard to the web app's whiteboard so they can communicate better. There'll also be like a dotted line that'll show you the smallest screen participating so that you know to stay within that window. So if your student's on a phone, you're going to get a small box over here. So then we add it to the background. So now I want to go and put my game piece. I'm just going to make it smaller. Okay, so there's my game piece. I put it there. Now I want to move it. So I'm getting my selector, going to move it over here and then drop it. So that's kind of fun. So that's how you upload a file. And then now if I want to save this to my student's room, then I press the save button. I'm going to call it Fall Keys, Save. And now it's here in my list. So this is a new room, so I don't have any files in there.
Does it accept PDFs? What kind of files does it accept?
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion over this the other day because so a PDF is not an image. It's a document. It's a little bit different. However, we have put a converter in, so it will convert the PDF to an image. And just this morning, they have upped the size. So it should accept all PDFs now on the portal and on the whiteboard too. What else do we have here? Here's our trash can. That will get rid of the whole image. So the whiteboard works like a projector. This is your film copy that's on top. Now, if I draw all over it, but I want to keep my image on because maybe my student is being like whiteboard happy and just going crazy. My students love to do this, right? Like cover everything up. If they are doing that, you can lock them out. There's a nice little lock button there if they're getting too color happy. But if you want to get rid of just the drawings and not the image, you press this little clipboard and that'll get rid of all of those. And then you can lock them out. If you want to get rid of the image itself, then you press clear the whiteboard. This button over here is our stamp of the grand staff. So I have this image here. This is exactly what our grand staff looks like. And I'm going to add it to the background. And then now I can draw on it and make my tool smaller. So, just go in, play with all the tools. So that's the whiteboard. Probably has the most buttons. If you can't find your buttons, they're just here in this little hidden one. And now I'm going to press the back button. And this is our most popular feature. So this is our grand staff. So it's really fantastic. We just added this new feature in too that you can pick a color. I did this with my student yesterday because he's like obsessed with turquoise. So everything has to be turquoise. And I don't know how he does it, but he can get the exact shade. I think he memorized the numbers or something. But it's really great for demonstrating. You can take the letters off the keys if you want. You can put them back on. You can switch the octave up or down. We've put a little star. That was Grace's idea, actually. One of her feedback. A little star on a middle C there. You can change the sharps and flats by pressing this button. We have rainbow keys too. These are a lot of fun. And this is also hooked up to my MIDI, so I can see it here in my MIDI input source. I've turned the piano on before the call, so it's there. You can change the sounds as well. And so this is good for, showing all sorts of things. It's really nice. I like that a lot. This is your volume button here, so you can control the volume of the keyboard. Because mine's hooked up through MIDI, then I like to actually just mute my keyboard so that I don't hear it. Over here, we have our Open Notes menu. So I call this our Color Pop palette, and it slides all over. You can move it out of the way. And then it opens up another menu, and you can place these notes on the screen, and your student can do it as well. So you can just simply line up a whole bunch of notes and then ask them to maybe build a scale. You can give them a ledger line here. And you can, there's all sorts of things you can do here, but they can slide them around. You can slide them on your side. So it's completely collaborative. Got a repeat sign. So all sorts of things you can do. We also have numbers over here. So you can slide them down to the keyboard. We have stars for those students that maybe aren't reading notes yet, but they want to learn about skips and steps. Hearts too. These are great for placing. The developers threw this one in as a joke to go with our poo theme, I guess. So, there's lots of things you can do on here. This is a really fun feature. I usually use this, and I bounce back and forth from the whiteboard to the grand staff and the home screen quite a bit. I actually don't use my overhead camera all that much, just because I end up using this feature a lot more. It's a lot clearer to demonstrate where things are. So that's the grand staff. And then we have a metronome here too. I'm just gonna disconnect the call so you can hear it. So now if you're ever on a call, and again, sometimes it might be that your student's volume is really loud on their end, and maybe they're in an echoey room and you might hear an echo too with the metronome. Your student doesn't hear the metronome because the metronome echo or sound is pushed from the student's side to the teacher's side. But sometimes teachers can hear a little bit echo. So you want to just ask your student to just lower the volume a bit, or put headphones on, and then you won't get that echo anymore. But this is how the metronome works. We also have a cat and a dog. It's great how the sound is pushed from the student's side to the teachers, because you will hear exactly what they're playing with being on time with their music. So, Grace, are you ready to screen share, or should I show you the guitar feature? I'll show you the guitar feature first really quick. Okay. And so this is it. Let me just full screen here. So it works the same way as our grand staff, except for we just have some more guitar features. Alan's going to yell at me because I don't even know what I'm writing here. But here it is. You can put numbers down here, and you can switch it to ukulele as well. You can show the names of everything. So this is great for showing positions and building little melodies and stuff. Okay. Are you ready to screen share?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We can do it either direction. Like if your iPad is on you, just like we did it last time, I can be the student. If you want to do it that way, I can do either way.
Okay.
No worries.
I'm not connected to a call. That's why. I can't screen share when I'm not connected. Okay, so Grace, your code is 24601.
24601.
Anybody know what that means?
Is that Les Mis?
I'll just call you Jean Valjean.
Yeah, Jean Valjean.
So screen share, this is a basic Google Chrome screen share. We will be doing more work on screen share to make it more music teaching friendly with like remote control features and such. But it does share audio over on the Chrome tab. So you can share your YouTube video and share your audio as well. You can share a window or you can share your entire screen. So maybe in this, I don't know, we'll share an entire screen.
We can always show the video we recorded as a screen share as well if this doesn't work out.
Yeah, we can do that. So we are going to teach you how to screen share an iPad app on Musicology. So what I'm going to do is go down here to this collapsible menu, press on this world icon because we are sharing the world here. I'm going to click on entire screen, make sure that that entire screen is highlighted blue. Click share. Now I want to see Grace, so I'm going into these camera toggle options and I'm going to pop out her remote video here. So now I can slide her around. So I'm getting rid of the screen because we don't need that anymore. I just want to see Grace. And I'm going to open up QuickTime. I don't need this file here. Go up here to the file menu, press new movie recording, and go to the drop down menu. My iPad 4 is selected and you're going to see it in a second. Here it is. So now I'm going to share Grace's fantastic app and we are going to show you a really fun little sight reading game that you can play on it. So here is NoteQuest.
Yay.
And let's go back to the beginning here. So should we do Note Class or Note Fit, Grace?
Let's do Note Class because that's the one that responds to sound.
Perfect. Okay, and we're doing real piano or MIDI or virtual piano?
We can choose real piano.
And I will skip to drills. Landmark notes?
Sure. Let's pretend that I'm a beginner and I'm just learning landmark notes.
Sounds good. Which one should we do?
We could do the 3 C's. It's a very common issue among new students, right?
Mm-hmm.
Differentiating between all the 3 C's.
So many C's on the piano.
So I'm actually going to play middle C on my end, which is remarkable because she's going to hear it on her app.
You know your landmark C so well.
Thanks so much.
That was so much fun. So now I'm going to exit screen share and I'm going to close Grace's pop-out video, slide her back over, and disable screen sharing, and now we're back. That was fun, Grace. Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun. I think it's just a fun activity for teachers to do just to mix it up during an online lesson, because sometimes teachers say, oh, online lessons could be such a drag, or, you know, the energy level starts going down. And so it's kind of like a little pick-me-up in the middle of the lesson.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it just spices things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
So if I play it incorrectly, it doesn't move on. When I play it correctly, it hears me play it correctly and it switches to the next card. So it's just a quick little drill. They're 15 seconds.
You are very good at sight reading.
Thank you. Thank you. I got my first 3 notes down. Oh, I love it. And, you know, it's so funny because it's something so simple. And yet when those emojis go up, every student smiles. I mean, without a doubt. So why don't you go into like level 1 and under Note Class?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to give you just a slightly wider range. So it gives you from treble G, like this G, all the way to bass F. And it gives you all of those as a range.
Okay. So do you want me to do starter, rising star, 2-step?
Yeah, so level 1, which is starter. Yeah.
All right. Play your middle C. And now B. and F, middle C, B.
So you guys get the idea. So this will happen for 1 minute. I don't necessarily want to show all the teachers here, show off my note recognition skills for 1 minute, but you guys get the idea. So it's amazing because I don't have the app. So even if your student doesn't have an iPad, your student doesn't have the app, you do. And so you're controlling the activity. So that's what's remarkable about this. So now if you want to, you can go into Note Selector.
So I'm in Note Selector, and you want Create New or Select Level?
Okay, so let's do Create New.
Okay.
And why don't you just choose any drill you would like for your students? So let's do like an A major pentascale. So on the virtual keyboard, just select A, B, C sharp, D, E.
Oh, this is my first time trying this. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm actually walking Rebecca through it for the first time. Then you can just save your drill and you can name it.
So I'm going to save it as A major.
Okay.
Okay.
So it only took her like 2 seconds to save it. Then you go back to drills, and then you can actually then implement the drill. Finally, I see it. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So now click Save at the top.
Yeah, and I'm doing naming it. A major. Save.
Save. Okay. And now when you go to select level, it'll be there for you.
Oh, in select level. Oh, yeah, because before I wrote A majo.
That's all right. You can name it whatever you want.
Okay.
So you guys can save as many of your personal drills as you would like. So let's say you use a different set of landmark notes. You can actually put your own set of landmarks in there. Let's say you use a different set than the ones that are offered in the app. I use the ones that are, I think, commonly used in Music Tree and Piano Safari, but you can add your own. Also, if you teach another instrument, such as Alan, and you want to put your own set of pitches in there that are suitable for your instrument, you can actually add those in there.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, so we completed 12. And so you can put also minor scales. You can use, I'm a Piano Safari teacher, so I like to do skips scale. So I'll do line notes. I'll put in space notes. And when you save it in there, it's always in there. You don't need to redo it. And then it's really easy to add new drills and to swipe left and erase drills if you'd like. So go back to select level.
So what you're doing is, I just want to understand. So say I'm teaching F sharp minor to a student, and then I can go into the Create New, and I can tap in the scale.
Yeah.
It'll create a game for me that's based off of the F sharp minor. That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to go into select level again. And then see the one where you did a little oopsie? Oh, sorry. You just swipe left and then you can delete it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. So now go back to select level, if you will. Thank you for doing this for me, by the way. Go to Create New again. And now let's say we want to do a scale that has flats. So now select flat at the top toggle. At the very top of the screen. There you go. Now you have flats. So now your black keys turned into flats. So that's how you go from sharps to flats. Make sense? And if you're like, oops, I added extra notes in there, all you have to do is tap on the red dot and it'll disappear. So it's super easy.
Oh, this is great for even intermediate students.
Yeah. And then for me, I actually taught my students blues scale, and I'll add like a G blues scale in here. And then they just have a customized drill based on that. So that's a teacher favorite right there. And, studies show that, when you're in an educational process and you're learning something new, the more immediate feedback a student gets, the more it sticks to their brain. So it's kind of hard to think of a lot of activities that we have available that give you that immediate feedback between the keyboard and the staff. And so, although Rebecca, you have that built into musicology as well. And so anytime students see immediate association between, their instrumental note and then the staff note, it sticks to their brain better. So that's why this is such an effective little activity disguised as a bunch of fun. All right, so we can go back now. So now we can go back to top left, note class, and we're just going to go back, and I'm going to show you note fit, and this is the sight reading section. And we can go to beginner. Let's just go to the beginner level, and let's do level 1. And so these are sets of sight reading drills that can go for many different instruments, right? It can also be great for sight singing practice if you teach voice. And these progress in a very sequential format. So level 1 is going to give you all movements of seconds, right? So if I do this. So that's my sight reading card. Now this section doesn't have pitch recognition. It's not going to hear you play, but now tap on the screen anywhere and you can listen back. So tap listen. All right, now, so the beauty of this is your student is kind of forced to use his or her own ears to figure out if what they played was exactly what was heard. So it's a little bit of ear training built in. All right. All of these exercises have a playback button. Each one has a built-in playback. All right. Can you tap the screen again for me? And then when you tap start, it'll launch a click track. So it'll just be, you just play with the clicks. So I can't hear the clicks right now on my end, but they can actually play along with the clicks. And as you guys know, when you're doing sight reading practice, the whole essence of sight reading is that even if you make a mistake, the drill and the exercise is the ability to move on and to keep that sense of pulse. And so that's what the metronome does. It encourages you to play through your errors instead of stop and starting again. And this is why a lot of teachers, a lot of times we kind of forget about the sight reading part, or we just run out of time. But really the best way to get better is by learning how to play through your mistakes. So you get the holistic perspective of that piece of music. And so it's a completely different skill than learning your lesson music or your repertoire, because, you're learning a different skill. And because of that, that's why these exercises are so valuable, because when you're practicing sight reading, you have to look at fresh music every time. If you're looking at the same music as your lesson music every day, it's not really sight reading, right? It's learning your repertoire. But in this note fit section, we're pushing out new content, 3-4 times a year. So you don't run out of exercises to practice. You're always getting something new and fresh. So let's go on to another level. Why don't we go back to select level, if you would. And now, I think it kind of froze up. Maybe we might need to go back again and enter again. Enter note fit again. Okay. And note fit. Now we're going to jump to, let's say, level 3. I think that's an intermediate. Thank you. Now we're going to have a couple more sharps and flats. And let's say I did this. All right. And again, did I play that correctly? Let's say I played something like this. Or something different. And then we'll do the playback again. So tap the screen and listen. And then you're going to ask your student to listen back. All right? So instead of the app telling them it was right or wrong, they're really using their ears. So, and it's actually even better than you telling them, as a teacher, that look at measure 3, you missed the third note. The app is really helping to help them become more self-sufficient learners because they're using their ears to evaluate, and they can do this as many times as they'd like. Okay, now one other option, if that's too fast, tap the screen. You can actually adjust the tempo. So tap the tempo and you can slide it up and down according to what you need. You can also tap on that mute metronome thing if you don't want to hear clicks. So anyway, those are just the options that are available. And so these exercises are leveled all the way to advanced. So fairly advanced students can be doing these. I like to let's go back to select level. Let me show you guys a peek at advanced. You know what? I think it's demoitis again. That somehow the bar disappeared. There we go. Level 5. So all of level 5 displays 8 measure excerpts. Okay. And let's say you teach another instrument besides piano. Well, then feel free to just use one of the staffs. You don't have to make it about piano music. It could be violin. It could be a vocal or whatever. So you can make this. You can also select the exercises that are right for you, right for your instrument. All of the exercises that you'll find in level 5 are pattern-based. And that's really one of the educational values that I built into this app, because there are apps out there that will show you random notes on a screen, and they're really customized and cool like that, except their students are not really getting anything pedagogically out of it, because if you're just watching random notes on a page, it's not registering for the next time they do a sight reading activity. But with this, they're getting a pattern, And so that's why a lot of these also work fantastic as rote music. So you can do rote teaching out of this exercise as well. If you just swipe to the right, you'll advance the screens. You can just keep swiping. So we've got more. Yeah, so you could just swipe through. And if you see that pink bubble at the bottom, hold it, and then you can slide it to the right. Do you see the little pink bubble at the bottom? That's your express slider. So you can jump to a later exercise. Let's say if you've already done, 20 exercises and the next week you want to do number 30, then it's an easy way to jump to number 30, right? Yeah. So the other thing about this that's fantastic is that we've integrated all styles of music. So symphonic music, as you see here. I was a cellist before, and so I love symphonic repertoire. So I made some of my own transcriptions and I put it in here. Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto number 3. So your students can even play the theme to the Rock Third. So we tried to vary up the style of music and the periods as much as possible, just to make it more musically enriching for them. Also, if any of you are composers, feel free to send me your excerpts. Just send me, 6 to 8 bar excerpts, and I'll be happy to add them in here as little sight reading exercises. One of my visions is to promote composers, and so we can do that as well. Well, I don't know. I think that's about all I have for this one. Oh, one really important thing I wanted to announce that a lot of people don't know yet is we're doing a complete redesign of the app. So in the future, right now, there's 3 different in-app purchases. There's three different upgrades, but soon we're going to be combining everything into one unified app. So it'll be a much more streamlined purchase experience. Here's the good news. If you guys actually purchase it now, we're about 6 weeks away from relaunching. Then you're going to benefit by getting grandfathered in for the first year. It's going to be a subscription only app in the future. You'll be grandfathered in. You'll get a year. So if you'd like to check it out, I think now is a great time to do so. So that's all I've got.
Is the app just for use with MIDI connection? No, it's not. We already answered that.
No. And then we also have a virtual piano that you can play anywhere. So you can play it on the airplane. You don't need Wi-Fi, by the way, to play NoteQuest, because there's no login process. And when you have a login process, tech terminology, that means you have to connect to a third-party API, but there's none of that. So all of the app is contained in the device, so you don't even need Wi-Fi to play it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Linda wants to know if on NoteQuest, if the teacher has an acoustic piano and the student has a MIDI, how do you connect?
So it depends on which device you're using for playing the game. So that you can actually use either MIDI or you can use acoustic. You choose which one. And you can just choose that on the front menu. And by the way, when you plug in your iPad to your MIDI device, it'll automatically know it's there. It's not going to flash, now connected. It just automatically knows it's connected.
Yeah, that's like Musicology. Okay.
Yeah.
And Pauline, to answer your question, so no, you don't have to go back to the portal or log out every time you connect to a new student. You just have to open up the student room and click on it. So you can bounce from a next student to student if they're back to back. And Susan says she's confused about turning the volume down and turning off the mic and why. It's just two different options. The mute is, very black and white. It's off or on. But we have the volume so that you can have a selection to control your volume if you would like to have it a little lower or maybe medium or higher. And I think I answered the rest of them. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, Linda. Oh, you're muted. Let me unmute you.
There we go. So when I'm on Musicology and I do a screen share with my student, I can pop out I use a little pop out so that I can see them when I'm screen sharing. But they can't see me because I was trying to show them on screen share. So I want you to do this, whatever finger it is. And she said, I don't know. So I had to end screen share and go back and show them and then go back. And I had to do that a couple of times because it was a really young student. Do they need to do the pop out as well? Or
yes, and they'd be popping out the screen share. So Zoom can do that because they're an installable program and they've kind of programmed that in, and they have different video feeds. But that's something that we're going to be looking into to advance things later this year with our screen share purposes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
I had the same question before, Linda.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's there. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to screen share, really, to make it teacher friendly for all the teachers. So there's some teachers that just use basic functions. There's others that use more complicated setups. So yeah, we'll be incorporating everything.
Susan asked, is it free right now? Are you talking about NoteQuest, Susan? I don't know. Are you still there? Maybe. Oh, yeah, she's still there. Oh, so just the landmark notes section and then level 1 is a free download. And then there are 3 available upgrades. And for information on that, you can actually just look at the App Store listing or look at notequest.net, which is my website. It'll show you the breakdown of the 3 different upgrades available.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone for coming. It was really nice to see everybody and sort of see their names. And thank you, Grace, for that great performance. And your app is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to exploring more of the advanced sight reading options.
Thanks, Rebecca, for having me. And also thank you for everyone for hanging with us through our little tech meetups. We're all, this just goes to show that we're all learning, Rebecca and I are, in the middle of a tech, we're producing tech products, but we're all learning something new every day. And so thank you so much, all of you, for understanding our little pauses and weird hangups that we had today. So really appreciate your patience.
Great. All right, guys. Well, thank you. We'll see you again. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.